to That's What We Think with Connie and Steve. Of course, I'm laughing because I forgot how I start this thing.
Oh my God. My chair, usually I could lean back on it, and now it's stuck. So it's like
Oh.
my back. It's stiff. Like, oh, I can't move back. Oh, there we go. There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, we're just a
So
mess this morning.
we are.
I don't
Hello, my
remember
dear
how to
friend.
start
Hello.
this thing. I don't.
This is how we usually talk. We're all over the place.
Yeah.
How are you today? How are you doing?
Good.
You look
Anxious
good.
about the election that's coming up. There's a bit of a worry that I feel.
Yep. Me too.
I,
Me too.
I just heard on the news earlier today, Doug
Yeah.
Ford talking to reporters and saying that he hopes to be premier for the rest of his life, like Hazel McCallion. And
that
I
what
was
he
like,
hoped?
yeah, that actually shouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah. Did he
Because,
really say that?
yeah, I was like, I don't know if that was supposed to be an inner thought or if he purposely said that. You know that people nowadays make this excuse for everyone, for Pierre Poilievre, for Trump, for all of them. Oh, that's not really what he means. No, that is literally what he means. He said it.
Wow.
There's a Maya Angelou quote that says, when they show you who they are, believe them.
Believe them. Well, let's just say, first of all, I'd like to put a disclaimer on this episode that
Okay.
Connie and I will be using very strong language throughout this podcast episode because it warrants it. And both of us have been holding back because we understand that our podcast, yes, we have designed it so that we really want it to have more of a fun, sunny ways. People always make fun of Trudeau about that, but we want it to be more of just a little bit more
Joyous.
lighter, joyous occasion.
Yes.
But this upcoming election, as Connie has rightfully pointed out, we're at this point in this province where I believe misinformation or disinformation has played more of a role in shaping people's minds, and not to mention entrenched viewpoints
Yeah.
about our current government that is getting increasingly hard for people to shake. There
Yeah.
really is a very, very anti-liberal attitude out there. Fine. You believe that? Fine. But don't you freaking dare start screeching about how crappy things are, because they are,
Yeah.
once he gets back into power. If your aunt, if your mother, if your child gets sick and you're going to that healthcare system and you're like, well, I didn't know about this. Well, that's because you didn't fucking pay attention and
Right.
you're blaming it on Trudeau.
And you cannot keep on blaming past premiers
Oh, yeah.
for things that are going on now. He's been in power since
7
June
years.
2018.
7 years.
And if he gets elected again,
Yeah.
if he gets reelected, we're looking at another 5 years.
The man wants to spend $100 billion on an underground tunnel through the 401. Anybody with a functioning brain in this province, but you're still going to vote conservative because, God forbid, you vote for the other party because, well, we're anti-liberal. We'll screw ourselves over because we don't believe in what they have to say. And we don't believe in investing in our healthcare or investing in our education or investing in our children's futures. No. That's too liberal. Let's just stick with conservatives who are going to screw up your life. I don't get it. I
think the worry is that they keep on thinking that we are going to end up, because it's conservatives and you conserve money and it's fiscally conservative, that they're going to actually save us money. That's absolutely the opposite of what he's been doing. Let's say he has spent $3 billion canceling cap and trade. That's why we have the carbon tax, because he canceled cap and trade, costing us $3 billion for that. $109 million just for this early election here that we're having. $1.4 billion moving the science center for no reason. I mean, it could have been fixed.
There is a reason.
Oh, there is a very good reason, because his developer friends wanted it.
Absolutely.
$612 million expediting alcohol. My God, this man loves his alcohol and he wants to keep us all drunk.
Yep. So we forget.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So we don't have any clue of what's going on.
Obsessed.
$1.1 billion dollars in canceling our license renewals,
Uh,
which I mean, everyone was like, oh God, thank you. I don't have to do this again. But that's $1.1 billion dollars that went towards fixing our roads,
Fixing our
fixing,
roads, infrastructure.
exactly.
You're
Two
wondering why the roads are bumpy? That's why. There's no money to pay for it.
Well, and
Think,
and the mayors are complaining
people.
because of the crushing financial burden that's been downloaded onto them
That's right.
from Ford.
That's right.
The $2.24 billion dollars in Ontario Place becoming a private spa. And I went to spa or Nordique up in Quebec 3 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and it's beautiful. But do we need us paying for
Yeah.
a corporation to have it so that they can make money off of it? I don't understand. Like, why aren't we selling this to
It's
Nordique Spa for the $2.24 billion and us making money off of this instead of us paying them that money? I don't get it. $4 billion on Highway 413.
that.
$48 million on removing bike lanes that we paid to put there. And I
Yeah.
know, yes, it added to the congestion in Toronto. There are people that use those bike lanes, but now we're
Mhm.
going to spend more money to take them out again. 103.5 million dollars on advertising to reelect him.
In
So
the
we've
States.
had in the States, exactly. So
That's
we've and for
because
what?
apparently, well, hold on. Apparently, the ads were deemed too partisan to be shown in Ontario.
Yes.
And surprise, surprise, surprise. I
Yeah.
mean, again, with this,
Yeah.
just
And
breathe.
exactly. And him costing us all this money,
Yeah.
and yet we have not added to any service. We've just kept on cutting, 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 cutting,
Yep.
cutting, costing us money, but he's kept on cutting programs,
That's right.
cutting our healthcare, defunding our education. And if you're a parent that has a child with special needs, autism, or anything, you will know exactly what we're talking about. Even if you don't have a child with special needs, you have no idea what's going to happen in the future. If you're going to end up with a grandchild that has autism, you want them to have the best services possible. And if you're voting to get rid of them, then your children can thank you.
I think that that point has to be hammered into a lot of people's heads, but I don't think it will be because it is strictly a self centered focus. And don't you dare come at us and say that we're thinking of the children. You are absolutely not thinking
No.
of the children. You are only thinking of your damn selves. And to add into your list there, our healthcare system with the hours upon hours of waiting now. Mr. Ford decided to address this by mentioning, well, people that are going there are going for colds or a little scrape of the knee. Well, they wouldn't have to go there if there were doctors. Now, we
Yes.
do not have doctors in this province. Why don't we have doctors in this province? Because you have decided not to allocate the money that, yes, comes from the federal government. And that is it. No more blaming Trudeau. This has nothing to do with the federal government. The federal government gives the provinces money that are allocated towards health care. It is up to the provinces and the premiers to allocate that money to healthcare. That is it. This is not federal. This is not immigration. This is what their job is as premier. And he's not doing this. So
No.
when you're going for your blood work and you're having to pay for certain tests that you didn't have to before, surprise, surprise again, you can blame that on our current premier
Yeah.
who's chipping
And
away at our healthcare.
And when everyone says, oh, well, maybe we do need to add a private element, and we have some private element into our
We
healthcare,
do,
which
sadly,
our public tax dollars pays
pay for.
for, and it
Mm-hmm.
costs us double.
That's right.
If that same stuff was just public, we would actually be saving money. But instead, you want to say, oh, we need this private element to it. We need private nurses that are actually getting paid double than what our public nurses are getting paid doing the exact same thing in the exact same
Yeah.
hospitals. How
Yeah.
is that even fair?
I'm trying to understand, Con. when there's certain people that we know who are more conservative minded, that's fine.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
be it. And they want to have a dialogue about the differences between conservatism and liberalism, or just being a lefty in general.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to discuss here, because let's be very clear about our position, we are more to the left, clearly, but these are facts that are there if you just look.
The
There's no
dollars
there's
that
no
I
dialogue involved
yeah.
in these are facts.
Yeah.
What are you arguing about? What is it that you need to understand? What part are you not getting? Because
Exactly.
all I hear when what's coming at me sometimes from conservative minded people is an absolute stubbornness to not understand that this is for the greater good of all of us and not just individual. I find that sometimes conservative minds tend to be more individualistic rather than thinking about what's good for all of us.
Yeah.
Or there is a inherent need to not want to share with, you know, within that privilege
Somebody
of,
that looks a little different than them.
there we go. And then all of a
Somebody
sudden their
that might
blood
be
pressure,
new.
absolutely. Their blood pressure goes up. Well, I'm not giving them my money to them. They're going
Yeah.
to use it for this, this, this. Or people who are on disabilities. Well, I see those people riding around on their scooters or whatever it is. They don't need my money. It's like, oh God, you can't. I wonder sometimes if we're coming up against a little bit of a brick wall in terms of, do you really
I
want a
think so.
dialogue? Do you want a dialogue, or do you just want to be heard?
I think so. I think there's a lot of people that are just like, you know what, forget it. This is what it is. It's the quote unquote them
Yeah.
that they've been told to be afraid of that are stealing from them, whether
Hmm.
it's new immigrants, whether it's refugees, whether it's disabled people. It's this quoted them. No, it's
I,
not them. If your life is costing you more right now, you can look to the business owners that are making your life more expensive. You can look to the monopolies that we have in our grocery stores. You can look toward the monopolies that we have in even our internet providers and our cable providers.
yeah.
Does that need to be fixed? Of course,
Of
that
course
needs to
it's.
be fixed. But the grocery stores, we keep on allowing Loblaws to buy up the small mom and pops.
Mhm.
Why are we allowing that to happen?
And where isn't the outrage regarding that?
So the other thing that Doug Ford is promising, this is one of his promises that he's going to lead on, even though one of his promises before was building more houses, and yet nothing's
Nothing.
actually been done with that. But his promise is to remove the floor pricing of alcohol.
Again, his
Again,
obsession with booze, his obsession.
just like going. So I always remember my parents talking about the USSR giving everybody vodka and making vodka very cheap. And my parents would say it's because then that way when you're drunk, you don't know what's going on and you can soothe your
Yeah,
sorrows
yeah.
with your cheap vodka. So
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like he's trying to do. Don't worry about anything. Have a buck of beer. Don't worry about the cost of everything. Your alcohol is going to be cheaper.
I believe that our high school, yes, of course, had its flaws, sure.
Mhm.
But I think overall we had an excellent education. And there's a lot of people that went to that school who had a very good education. What has happened between then and now? I blame, sadly, misinformation.
Yes.
And that affects both sides. Absolutely. It's
Oh
not just
yeah.
one group, it's all of us. There are, I mean, back in the day, the quote unquote kooks used to be those people that were screaming at the corner with their pamphlets and you'd ignore them.
Yes. And
And
now that's
now
all. You just turn on your computer and
it's right
all the
there.
kooks are there.
Exactly. I mean, look at COVID. I think COVID really gave me an indication as to what's going on with our society in regards to how we deal with anything that's emergency like, and it
Yeah.
has become more individualistic. And now I look at this election and I'm realizing that for people that really want a collective idea of society, the fight is much bigger than I ever thought. I can't believe that we're having this discussion as to whether or not this man, this premier, should be allowed. He shouldn't be. He's
No.
done everything he can to completely decimate our current system that we've enjoyed for years and years, and people aren't doing anything about it. And they're
Yeah.
blaming other things that have nothing to do with what's happening, and it's so heartbreaking and
Yeah.
depressing. and anger, and it makes
Yeah.
me angry that
Well,
we're here.
yeah, and you said you started with COVID.
Ugh,
All of the mandates that were passed down with COVID, that was Doug Ford.
that's right.
He was in charge of hours in Ontario mandates. If you were being forced to do something, wear a mask, whatever it might have been, and you were mad at our federal government for that, that was misplaced anger that should have been put on our provincial government, if you wanted to argue about what you should or should not have been doing during that time.
Right.
But right now, what is at stake
Yes.
is our children's social services. Like, they're projected to be underfunded by $3.7 billion. And these are all the figures that I'm taking are all very well researched figures.
Hmm.
So that includes things like child subsidies and speech and occupational and physiotherapy, child welfare, mental health supports, and autism supports. And
Yeah.
there's a huge group of women and men who have been
And disability supports too.
screaming
Yeah.
about needing that support for their children who
Hmm.
have autism, and they're not getting it. The list is just longer and longer and longer. And then a lot of these kids who have been on this autism list are now aging out.
Yeah.
Because you got to figure he's been in power for 7 years. They've been needing it since, whatever. They're aged out now. Even if they do start getting the help that they've needed, it's too late. Autism, you need to have that kind of help at a very young age and
Hmm.
then have it consistent. Affordable housing, you could say goodbye to that. I mean, you got
Yeah.
rid of rent control.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
look at it now.
exactly. You're
Well,
looking
and
at
also, Con,
fourth
look at the results. Right.
something.
Right. And the result is, look at encampments and
Yes.
in our parks and on the sides of the roads. And well, I believe at one point there was even a threat of using the notwithstanding clause to have them removed. But
Yes.
meanwhile, the source of this, and don't tell me that there is no money, and I'm not talking to you, I'm just talking about people out there.
As you're
Do
looking
not,
at me.
I know, do not tell me
I know
that
who
this
you're talking
province
to.
doesn't have the money. There is money here. If that fool can spend billions to build a spa, there is money in this province to support the people so that there isn't a need for homeless encampments. And you brought up a good point about autism and the fact that it might be too late. A number of those people who don't have those supports early in life, look where they end up. That's how they
Yeah.
end up out on the street.
Yeah.
That's why. But people don't want to hear that. No, I don't want to hear that.
No, no,
It's
because when
what?
people look at homelessness, they just think of
Lazy.
that person is homeless and that's it.
Yeah.
They didn't think of where that person started out
I don't care.
and what could have prevented that person from being in that situation. And it's very easy for a lot of people to end up there. It doesn't take much. It takes a downturn
It
in the
takes it
economy.
absolutely, or one paycheck away.
Yes.
And don't think you're immune from that. We're all part of that. All of us. All of us. But I
Yeah.
often wonder, Con, when we talk about this, if I understand again that it will be a case of, well, I'm just going to plug my ears and I'm sticking to what I believe in because I know that that's right. And of course, when we talk like this, we also feel that we're right
Of
in
course.
certain
Yeah.
respects, but we also have facts behind us too. But I wonder if the accusations of us being bleeding hearts simply because of the fact that we do give a shit about other people other than ourselves
Yeah.
is something that it's too difficult for people to understand.
Yeah.
It is about the greater good. Uh, I don't know how we fight this huge misinformation. And do you have an idea? Because
How
I'll
to
tell
fight the
you
misinformation? I mean,
how.
it's really difficult because you have to figure we're getting not only are we ourselves, meaning the collective we, the country, creating misinformation within social media.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just finished seeing two creators on TikTok, Canadian creators who are constantly misinforming their very large audience. And oh my God, it takes everything in my being not to comment and get down that rabbit hole with them.
Yeah.
Not only are we creating and sharing misinformation, but
Hmm.
you also have other countries. You have the states coming in and and creating misinformation. You have Russia coming in and creating misinformation. I think there was also India as well.
Oh yeah,
We're being
there's lots
hit
of
from
sources.
all different sides.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we have to actually go and do our research. We have to find multiple sources
Hmm.
and look at who it is that is giving you that information. Rebel
Okay.
News is a far right, most of the time very wrong
Most of the
news
time.
source. So if that's where you're getting your news from, that's no different than getting your news from Breitbart in the States. Like it's just so far out there that it's not
It's
worth looking at.
it's like reading. What was that?
The Inquirer.
That's it. Which
Yeah.
was fun.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was a fun thing to read because it was so outlandish. It was
Yeah.
crazy,
It was the
but it's not
Inquirer,
fun
and there was
anymore.
another one as well that used to always have, I gave birth to an alien.
Oh, remember those? Oh my god.
I don't know if they have them anymore.
I think they're gone, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in the grocery
No.
aisle in ages.
No.
But I remember them, and I'd always smile. But now, I mean, now it's not funny because
No,
now
no,
people are
no. They
literally.
have nothing humorous to say.
Well, no, but people are taking it seriously now, and they
Yes.
actually are saying, "Well, maybe they did give birth to an alien monkey." It's come to
That's how
that.
outlandish it is. Yeah.
But how? How can somebody who I know has brains in their head come to that conclusion to think, "Oh,
Are
well,
you
maybe
sure
that
they
is
have
true"?
brains in their head?
Well, I have to admit, I have to say that there should be. Look,
Yeah.
I'm no bloody scholar either. I'm not suggesting that
No.
that I'm out there as a politician or anybody else. I'm just a regular guy who who's very passionate like you about politics.
Yes.
And it's scaring me and depressing me that there is a group of people in this province, a large significant group of people who refuse to open their eyes and will only vote along party lines. And I will add one more thing because I'm talking a lot, I know, and I
No, no,
apologize
no,
to
no. That's
everybody.
okay.
I will say this. I know a great deal of my energy is focused on the conservatives. I also think, as people on the left, we also have to get our crap together because there are three dissenting parties who all share the same values.
Yes.
That has been a huge reason why that the conservatives have been able to keep getting in. With the liberals, with the NDP, with the Green, all basically saying the same bloody thing, but won't join together drives me crazy. You're all busy thinking, well, that's not important to me, so I won't vote. Well, that's not important to me. I don't want to vote for that person. It's insanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another
Yeah. You
problem.
have to think of voting not like a marriage. It's public transportation.
Yeah.
This is the best advice I've ever heard. So you're not waiting for the one
Hmm.
that is going to be everything and all for you because there it, there is no political government that's going to be the one
The
for you.
one. Right.
You know, but you have to get on the bus that's going to get you the closest to your destination. And if
Yeah.
that destination means that your healthcare is going to be a little better, doesn't have to be perfect, but a little better. That there's going to be more money for education being
Yeah.
put into our schools rather than taking away from our schools. During COVID, Stephen Lecce went to my daughter's school where she was teaching.
Right.
He was bragging about this brand new school. It was a beautiful school, and he's out there talking about, all the things that they're doing to keep our kids safe. And the teachers kept on saying, "Why don't you come in
Yeah.
and we'll show you around our school?" He
Yeah. He
refused to go
refused.
into that school because he would have seen how tightly packed each classroom was
Hmm.
because there wasn't enough space for everyone to be put in. There was literally a classroom in part of the hallway.
Hmm.
It's not a classroom. It's not supposed to be a classroom, but they had nowhere else to put kids.
Right.
And he refused to go inside because he knew what he was going to see.
Absolutely. And he couldn't lie about it. Well,
No,
yes,
he
he could.
couldn't
Yes,
lie
he
about
could.
it with the cameras there.
He was, I will say this with full force, by far one of the absolute worst education ministers this province has ever had. And we've had
Yeah.
some bad ones, but he in particular, because of his ability to lie so easily. And I find that the resulting mess in our education system now, with crumbling schools and overcrowded classrooms,
Yeah.
this is the legacy.
Yeah.
But the media, again, has been disappointing in holding their feet to fire
Yes.
in terms of finding out the reasons that we all need to hear. That's nonpartisan, no opinion, just facts. And sadly, we have been bereft in that information. It has been a real disappointment, and we're paying the price for that. And I'm worried. Like you, Con, I am worried. I'm hoping that perhaps maybe a minority government might be squeaked out of this, which would be a lot easier for everyone. A little easier, maybe, because there won't be such sweeping power. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
I don't know.
know. I do know that you have to go to
You do.
smartvoting.ca to see in your riding where the parties are and vote strategically. So what you have to vote strategically in this election. It is very, very important.
Vital.
Now, who I want to talk to
Yeah.
is the 57% of Ontario eligible voters
Mm-hmm.
who didn't vote. You cannot complain about the condition of our government, the condition of our education system, the condition of our everything, if you do not go out and vote. It is so imperative.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a time for apathy.
Yeah.
You've got to get out there and vote. If you think that your one little vote doesn't count,
Mm-hmm.
it absolutely does. Of course it does. Every single vote matters. If
Yeah.
it didn't matter, women wouldn't need to vote. We wouldn't have had to have the suffragette movement. We wouldn't have had to have any movement that gave us that right to vote,
Mm-hmm.
to have a voice, to say what we want to have happen to our bodies or whatever it might be. Why would it be important for us to have that voice? People of color, they wouldn't have fought so hard to have the right to vote. It would just be white men voting the entire time, because if that's all that's important. Then every single person needs to vote. And the biggest, loudest complainers usually are, unfortunately, our younger generations.
Okay.
They want change, they want change, they want change, and then when it comes time to voting, that is the one generation that does not vote in record numbers. And then point to the boomers,
Yeah.
who have been controlling everything.
Yeah.
Stop letting them control it. It's
Yeah.
up to us. We can stop the boomers from controlling the things if we just go out and vote.
I do think that there is a very sad legacy of people not having civic pride anymore and believing that their vote doesn't matter, because ultimately what's going on right now may indicate that their votes are no longer, especially if you're young, that it doesn't matter. And I actually do feel horrible for our youth, because we are screwing it up
Yes.
in ways that I don't know what they are going to have to deal with, all under the guise of selfishness at our age group and above. And I just keep thinking, doesn't, like, especially people that have children in their 20s, are you not concerned at all about them? Like, really, are you? And don't tell me you're doing this for the kids, because your voting intentions do not show that. Like,
Yeah.
you would be voting for the best. You would want them to have the best health, the best education, an environment that's clean. Why don't you want that? Why would you want somebody that's out bulldozing a perfectly normal park so that they can put in a spa? You should be investing in public transportation. You would anyways, if you care. That's what they do in Europe. They invest in that sort of thing. But clearly, we're not Europe, are we, Connie?
No, unfortunately.
I do think about that. Now, I don't have kids, but I do think about that part. And I think about the legacy, and I think about the fact that it is not going to be an easy ride for them coming up behind us, because the decisions that are being made now are absolutely not meant for the future. It's for the
No,
here and now.
no. It is our duty to plant a tree that we will never sit in the shade of. It is
That's good.
our duty to do that for our kids. So we need to make an environment that we will never enjoy. because we know that our kids will enjoy it or our grandchildren will. That's the legacy that we pass on. So now let's go over who there is to vote for, and what their little, just one little blurb of what they're offering. So you have Doug Ford, who's the conservative, who's promising to remove floor pricing on alcohol and spirits. Yay, we get to drink. You have Bonnie Crombie. She's a Liberal.
Yes.
She's planning on doubling Ontario disability benefits, which are long overdue.
They are in poverty.
Why do we want people to be living in poverty?
Because my taxes. Not well. I don't want to pay for those people. My taxes. I'm sorry, I'm making them sound so dumb, but it sounds dumb. Don't think when it comes out of people's mouths. It's jeez. Exactly.
It doesn't take much to all of a sudden need those disability benefits. Mm-hmm. Doesn't. It takes an illness to derail.
If they understood, I mean, they can't until they go through it. Maybe that's exactly what it is.
It's the lack of empathy that makes me crazy. It doesn't take much empathy, I don't think, to be able to go, gosh, that could be me. I could end up with lupus. Mm-hmm. I could end up with rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, all of it.
I could end up paralyzed.
Wheelchair or lose an arm or a leg.
There are so many things that can happen to you. And you will be dependent on those benefits if that ever happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
The NDP is Merritt Stiles.
Yep.
She's starting provincially run housing corporation. That's what she wants to do, so that we are no longer able to blame builders for the high cost of housing. Good. And the Green Party, which is Mike Schreiner. Mike Schreiner is somebody that my husband knows quite well. Okay. He is a really good person.
I've heard that said about him a lot.
Yeah.
That he's a genuinely good person.
He's a genuinely good person. He has such a good head on his shoulders for business and for his civic duties. Because you cannot run a province like a business. It's not a business. Businesses run for profit only. Provinces, states, countries, all of that has to be run for service, because that's what they're in there. They're civil servants. Yeah. That means that they're serving us. That's what they're supposed to be doing. But Mike Schreiner lays out a specific plan with dollars and timeline. It's unfortunate. Greens will never be. And like I said, the Liberal, NDP, and Green just kind of split that left vote in three different ways.
It's hard for them. It's ego can get in the way, clearly. Yes. Ideology also gets in the way as well. Like a lot of, it's not even just stemming from the leaders itself, it's stemming from the supporters. There are vehement anti-Liberal people in the NDP, and there are just a strong voice against the NDP from the Liberals. And the reasons really, at the end of the day, shouldn't stop you from wanting to join together, maybe even a brief time, to stop the madness of what's going on now. It's for the greater good of the province. This is now personal, where it affects all of us. But unfortunately, we are dealing with people who somehow cannot get out of that political bubble and notice that maybe this is. I'm taking a breath here, just because I said this at the last election, that I wish people would just take a breath, vote. In this case, it would have been Liberal, because at the time, the NDP leader, people had frustrations with her at the time. Fine. The Liberal leader was new. It was a little bit of a fresher approach. I wasn't saying that I was on board with him, but I also knew that this was also a preventative measure to stop the upcoming painful cuts and painful services that are happening right now because Doug Ford won that election. But I was thinking, can we just, please, I know you have problems with him. I know you have problems with her, but for God's sake, please just stick to the left, do something, vote. But look what happened. You said 57% chose not to, and this is the result. Connie, I think you may need to repeat that message to the 57% out there. I mean, seriously, do it loud and clear. Beg if you have to.
No, you have to come out and vote. If you do not like what's been going on for the last 6.5, 7 years
Hmm.
in our province, if you feel that during that time things have gotten more and more and more expensive, because they have,
They have.
it's at the foot of Doug Ford. It's
Yeah.
at the foot of the party that's in right now. And everyone can go, yeah, but when government did blah, blah. Doesn't matter. When government is so long ago, it doesn't affect us anymore. He spent more money than Win has and has cut more services.
There's a laundry list. What I'm hearing and seeing on social media from supporters or even people that are kind of wavering towards Doug Ford, and particularly the last couple of months since Trump, the last weeks, sorry, because he hasn't been in power that
It
long.
feels like
It
a
feels
few
like
months.
months, I know. But, well, Doug Ford wore that cap, and he's just seemed
Yes.
to be stronger than Trudeau or the federal government. He is the premier of this province. He is not the prime minister. His power is very, very limited in regards to that. And if you are taken in by the fact that he was a little bit louder than the others, then there's no reaching you. I realize that.
Yeah.
There's none. And if you're taken in by that, then God help us all.
Yeah.
Because frankly, one gesture, which I did like the cap, I won't lie, that was great. It was a really great response. However, it doesn't mitigate the fact that he has completely destroyed so many things that we need to live and work and be alive in this province. And you're not understanding this part because it probably hasn't affected you. It's like you said, Connie, if it doesn't affect you,
Mhm.
you won't know, but you will. And they will be the first to complain.
Absolutely.
The absolute
Absolutely.
first.
Don't
Where's
don't
my
get
money?
pulled
Where's it
over
going?
by a meme or the $200 that he sent you or a nice little
Two hundred
logo
dollar
that he's
check.
made. Don't get won over by that, because you have to figure how much did that $200 each. And that wasn't just $200 for each of us. That was also $200 per child as well.
The $200 payment is roughly $3 billion in total. $3 billion
$3 billion.
that could
Yeah.
have gone to fix our crumbling schools, our
Yeah.
crumbling roads, our crumbling hospitals. But no, no, no.
Yeah.
$200, which I'm sure will help you with your booze supply.
How many,
Ex-
exactly? How many doctors could have been hired with $3 billion? How many nurses could have been hired with $3 billion?
were people unaware of Walkerton recently, where they showed people out in the cold, huge lines in snowstorms, desperately hoping to get a position with two doctors that happen to be in Walkerton that's setting up a
Oh,
practice.
really?
Mother and Hensley, her husband, were stuck outside in the cold last winter because Hensley, there was a problem, and they had
Hmm.
to go to the emergency clinic. And I'm thinking, they're over 80. They're outside in the cold, hoping to get in line to get a service for him because something had happened.
Right.
Is this normal?
That's
Is this is
shameful.
this is this what we all like? We're all happy with that? Yay!
Yeah.
Like, is I'm speechless
Yeah.
with trying to get people to understand that this is what's going on, and what you're telling me of what you see is a positive thing that he's done. I'm waiting to hear it, other than
Yeah.
wearing a hat.
Well, he is using the outrage that people have towards Trump and
Completely.
his language of turning us into the 51st state for this election purpose. He's spending $189 billion on this early election, an unnecessary election, because he is the majority. It's not like he's in a minority government and he's thinking,
No.
okay, maybe I'll get a majority. No, he's in a majority government,
Mm-hmm.
and he's using our dislike of Trump and our
That's right.
dislike of Trump's rhetoric to possibly get him an extension on his already extended rule
Yeah.
in Ontario.
Not only that, but don't judge his words, judge his actions. He has yet to cancel the Starlink contract
Yeah,
with Elon Musk.
exactly. And he's
He
not
has,
going to.
and he's not going to. He has repeatedly said, "I support Trump 100%. I am a Republican." Go online. Him and his wife were celebrating Trump's recent
Yeah.
reelection. There is a video display that shows it. It is not manipulated. It is not AI. It is literally him and his wife dancing, and his wife. There's another picture of his wife celebrating the recent election of Trump. Do you need to be hit in the head with this information, or are you just ignoring it for whatever
They're
reason?
ignoring
Yes,
it.
they're ignoring it, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking why? Because it suits your purpose and it doesn't meet the narrative that you're formulated in your head.
Yeah.
There are no arguments that you can throw at me in regards to what a conservative has done for this province that is going to sway me in any way to say that it has been beneficial for us. Because you need to just go to a hospital, sit in emergency for 6 hours, and you can decide whether or not this has been really good for us.
Exactly.
And they won't, because it hasn't affected them.
No.
But it will. It
No,
really will, Connie.
my God, I
I
hope
know.
not. I really hope not. For the sake of
I'm praying too.
everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm including the people who want to vote for him. They'll need the medical help. They'll need the, whatever it is that we have. They'll want good streets. They'll want cheaper housing. They'll need that. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has, not everybody, but a lot of people have kids who are going to move out of their house one day if they can
Absolutely.
afford it. They won't be able to afford it. You're going to be stuck with your kids for the rest of your life in
Right?
your home. If you're fine with that, I mean, I am. Mine can live with me forever. I love them being here. They don't want to be here with me forever, though, and they want to be able to afford a house.
Right? I know. And that's exactly it. And they want to be able to have a place where they can send their kids to school.
Yeah.
To a school that's still standing. It hasn't crumbled because it hasn't been maintained.
Yeah.
Or if their child gets sick, that they're not terrified that they won't get to see a doctor for 8 or 9 hours. What kind of life is that?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. This extends to everybody. I want all of us to have this opportunity of a good life.
Yes.
That's what we want. A good life. I
Make
don't think
this
there should
be the first election that you go and vote.
please try to get out and vote if you can. Please.
Yes.
And I know we don't have a huge audience, but and
No,
most
we
of these
don't.
people most of the people we talk to agree with us anyways about
Yeah.
some of this stuff at least. But maybe we can tell the people that do listen to us, please, if you got to drag people out of their house to take them to vote, do it.
Yes.
Friends, family,
And
no
maybe we should start shaming people who don't vote. Honestly, maybe we should bring that. I don't know if it was ever
We should
a
do
thing, but
testing.
like we should just start shaming people. How do you not
Yeah.
vote? How can you not vote?
Do you think it should be mandatory?
I would love to have it be mandatory. The only thing is,
Australia does that.
yes. The
Yeah.
only thing is, with it being mandatory, you should also have to maybe write a test. There has to be some kind of way to make sure that everybody is knowledgeable on civics.
Yeah.
Take a civics test again every
Yeah.
5 years just to know who's in charge of what and to know who they're voting for. I mean,
Agreed.
most people vote on name recognition.
That's right.
Unfortunately, in our
Unfortunately.
area, we've had Lauren Coe be elected he not trying to be rude, but he does look a
Connie,
bit
I
like
already put the disclaimer.
he does
So
look
you
like a
just
zombie
speak.
or a skeleton. He is so old and he's been and he's done nothing the whole time. Nothing's changed in our area. Nothing's improved in our area. Yet we keep on voting him in. Why? Because it's who
His
everybody
name.
knows.
Yeah.
It's his name recognition, and that's it.
And that brings up a separate issue of term limits, but right now we're just focused on just getting people to expand just a little bit and think outside of the box. I know it's easy if you are going to go vote in and just click the check mark of someone you know, but think about the implications of that.
Exactly.
Understand that this person, if they didn't do the job that they were supposed to do prior, they're not going to do it now.
No.
So you need to think. That's all.
I thought of term limits as soon as I heard Doug Ford mention that he wants to be the Premier of Ontario for the rest of his life. All I thought was, we need term limits. We need, you can't continue.
I still can't believe it. He said that today.
Yeah, on the news.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was Global or something.
And did any reporters say anything back? No, of course not.
No.
What am I asking? Of course they didn't.
And even if they did, they would have just cut it out anyways.
Absolutely. I know. Yeah, that's where we're at. That not only can you not ask them questions, but if you do, they have the potential to cut it out so you wouldn't hear it. Connie and I are united in our appeal to everybody who listens to us to please try and get out and vote, and also spread the word, and also go to that website. What was the name of it, Con?
Smartvoting.
Please, and check and see if you are not a conservative. And
even if you are a conservative, it doesn't. Just go to your
just
riding.
go. Fine. Because it's mostly against them, right? Isn't it?
Well,
right?
if you're strategically voting,
right.
Yes.
So yeah.
But yes, use smartvoting.ca to see in your riding who it is that you need to vote for. It could be somebody that you've never voted for before. And it's unfortunate that we have to vote against as opposed to voting for, but this is where we are.
I'm also going to make a special appeal to our older listeners that tend to silo themselves in terms of who they vote for. And quite a lot of people who are older tend to vote conservative. And I'm asking you to think of, if you have grandchildren or people that really will suffer much more under that environment than they would anybody else, to please try and think of another party that could help make this province get back on its feet in some respect and improve our healthcare and improve our education for all of us. It's even healthcare for all of us. All of us need better healthcare. But I'm appealing to you just to think a little bit more about your vote and its importance, because it is important. And I know you vote well, and I love that there is absolutely that civic duty. It's built in. It's built in.
It should be a civic duty for all of you, and that
I agree.
Giant percentage of people who aren't voting.
Yeah.
Please use your civic duty this time and go vote. Do something, even if it's not for yourself. And I know it's February 27th.
Yeah.
It's, tomorrow.
That's right.
It's yeah. Well, actually, by the time we air this, it'll be today.
Today. Yeah. So today, vote. Please vote.
Go vote.
Connie, one more thing. If you did not get your voting card, don't worry about it. Just bring some ID, your driver's license, your passport, health card, anything that has your photo on it. You can
I think some mail as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can use that. It has your address on it. Use that that will allow you to vote.
Yeah.
You do not need to wait for that card. It has been a disaster with that. Don't worry about it. You still are eligible to vote in this province as long as you have those identification.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crucial to send out there, because that's been awful.
Yeah.
And people haven't been voting because they've been waiting for those cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got mine.
I got mine too.
We all in this house who are eligible to vote all have ours here.
That's right. That's right.
Can't wait to go and
me too.
Make my little check mark.
So yeah, that's what we're imploring all eligible voters to please do your civic duty. Vote.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, the title of our podcast is That's What We Think. And this was a lot of what we think today, and you may think differently than we do. And that's okay as well, but still go vote, even if you're voting against all of our rights.
You better keep that in. Don't you delete that. I love that. That is a great way to end this. And on that note, thank you so much for listening. And I'm loving the comments that people are sending us and letting us know what you're thinking about our show and what we're doing. And keep it up. We'd love to hear from you. Please, please, please write into theconnieandsteve@gmail.com, and Miss Connie will tell you where you can listen to us.
You can hear us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and a whole of other places where you can get your podcasts from. Yeah. And scroll down when you're listening to us and click the comment section. Write us a comment. Share what your thoughts are on this podcast and the others. And then also click the follow so that you don't ever miss any of our new episodes.
And we look forward to, we'll see what the results are going to be.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. That's all we can do.
Well.
All right, my friend. Make sure you get out and vote.
I will. You too.
I will.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.